Welcome to Captive Conversations. I'm your host, Adam from Captive Wi-Fi. Join us as we dive into behind-the-scenes stories of hospitality leaders exploring tech, operations, and marketing through the eyes of the experts. Let's get the inside scoop together. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Episode 42. Sorry, I had to say it like that because, it's just can't believe we're on 42.
Oh, I feel like I shouldn't have come for a 42. Like I want to be a big number.
Number 50.
Yeah.
So after Bow's one will take about an extra 7. That amount of time he talks more than me. But no, okay. We'll bring you back when things change.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We'll talk about in a bit.
Okay. Fabulous.
And then you'll be someone completely different.
I might have a different hairstyle as well because I think people get lost by what hair colour I am in time.
That's a good idea. You're going to go blonde again, are you?
Yeah, mostly.
Sorry. We are back and we have Michelle, founder of QAB Leadership. I've known Michelle for a very, very long time.
I think it would have been about 2011.
It's got to be, about that probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in your office,
Yes.
up in like the 17th millionth floor because there were no lifts. I don't remember.
Yeah, actually, I went.
No, Victoria.
Yeah, you know the one opposite the square?
Yes.
I went past it. It was so interesting. I went past like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And we were chucked out because they were going to make it into a
They've just
hotel. And they've
started to
only
build
just
that
started.
space.
Yeah, it's just
That was a really thin building, wasn't it?
No, not that one.
Oh.
The one before was, you know, when you came out of the station.
Yes.
Say if you walked away from Hamilton.
Yeah.
And Hamilton's here.
Yeah.
We were at the next block along in that huge mansion building.
Yes. You were in the top, no?
Yes. It was gorgeous. It was.
Yes.
The turret in a way.
Yeah.
But we were asked to leave because there was going to be a development, and that's when we moved.
And you moved to that really thin building.
Yeah,
and
which
you had,
was nice as well. Actually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you were probably upstairs. The ones below. I mean, it was.
It was fun. It was fun. It was fun.
It was fun times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun times. Lots of brands. I can't wait to talk about it because it's going to be super interesting. Michelle has some interesting stories. We'll see if we can get them out of Michelle or not, if she's allowed to talk about them.
Yes.
But so thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm excited for this one. That should be fun. We're going to go in with the first 2 questions, which were from Ben from Aqua. So his one was, this is probably a good one for you actually, to be fair. So if you could launch a restaurant anywhere in the world, where would it be and what would the concept be?
Do you know, the funniest thing is I wouldn't.
Done that, been there.
Done that, 50 restaurants and bars in. No, as an honest answer, I was thinking about it because I'm so lucky with how many countries the craziness has taken me. So I think I would go somewhere like Mexico City.
Yeah.
It would always have to be a city. I'm not going to leave London, and so I would have to go somewhere that's a city because I love the vibrancy and the madness of it. And it wouldn't be led by a concept; it'd be led by a collaboration. So, who was an up-and-coming talent that had all of that creativity and talent, and then the years of what not to do from my side,
and also the book, because the book that you have is the book, right?
Yeah.
So, which I find really interesting because. I remember speaking to someone who worked for the TGP, who left, I don't know, I remember speaking to him.
Who? Are we allowed to say?
Oh God, what was his name? I don't remember, I'm so sorry, because I haven't spoken to him for like 5 years. Don't remember his name, but I met him.
Very memorable then.
I actually worked there for quite a bit, to be honest with you, but I don't remember his name. It's fine.
If it's you, I'm really sorry.
I'll put it in the show notes, to be honest with you. I honestly don't remember because, I don't remember what happened last week, but 5 years ago, you get past 40, it's a blur.
Blurry.
But I remember meeting him, it was more than 5 years ago, it was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember meeting him, and on his laptop, he had the TGP Bible. The opening thing with with everything in it. I think anyone who worked there. Sorry, we're going to digress. TGP, we'll go through it all, but
was a consultancy. Is a consultancy company.
It is. Yeah. And we're working with them in with the Seed and Bloom brand with Captive in Dubai. Yeah, so I'm speaking to them, which is really weird because they're over. It's just really that whole link. But anyway, we're diving in too quick. So Mexico.
Yes.
Up and coming.
Up and coming.
Yeah. Light touch. Or would you set the ground foundation and sit back and...
Yeah, I think mentor is probably where I'm actually doing a better job of. And I think when restaurants, why I said no initially is because they are a magical thing to make. So sometimes you've got to let the naivety be for it to be a success. Yeah. If you actually try and make it too structured or too methodical.
I guess it's a creativity piece as well, right? So yeah. But with the foundations of learning throughout, right?
Yeah, and how not to fuck it up. Yeah, I've done lots of that. Beware of them.
Yes. But that's not. It can be quite easy to slip into that. People without guidance, right?
Yeah.
I think I said to Ben, it's really interesting. Before COVID, everyone was very tight and closed. And now everyone's open and helpful, which is like, oh, we're thinking of doing this. What do you think? And people will give you the honest answer. Like 8 years ago now, people would be like, it's a great idea. Yeah. And then you'd launch a restaurant and they'd be like, okay, I'll take that site after you.
Well, I think we all need each other. And that's what we realised through COVID, that the community element is vital for us all to succeed. Yeah. So let's all rise together. Yeah. And
I agree.
And share away.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, second question. What book, film, or piece of music? What is a book, film, piece of music that has had a lasting impact on your life?
I'm going to sound really highbrow now, and this is what came to my mind first of all. When I was in university, I did a dissertation on the Rite of Spring, which is Le Sacre de Printemps by Stravinsky, and it's from a ballet of Nijinsky.
Wow.
And it was
What did you do at uni?
Performing arts.
Did you? Yes. I didn't know that. That's so interesting.
Yes.
I should have known, to be fair.
Yeah, like why wouldn't you? Not, dance, surprise, which is stupid because I'm 5'1" and was never going to get a job, especially before diversity came in. So unless you were like 5'4", you wouldn't get a professional job. Yeah. Anyway, though I didn't realise that and why I became a waitress.
Because you had the banter.
Because I had the banter. It was like it still is.
Yeah.
An ongoing performance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
And so that piece of music by Stravinsky is chaotic. Yeah. And it has no rhythm to it. And I feel very aligned. It's dramatic. It's over the top. And it was a time that led me to hospitality, and so I think that was the first thing that came to my mind. Yeah, and the other one was still linking to performing arts because it said film was the first film I ever loved was Gypsy, which is a musical about being a stripper. And from like 3, I wanted to be a stripper. That was my parents.
I love that.
Yeah, that was
3. Mummy,
swinging around my vest.
You're nappy. Yeah. Okay, that's amazing. I'll try and find that music, and I might insert it in a little bit.
It's chaotic
for about like just a low feed.
There's no rhythm to it.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That. Okay, standard questions. Best hospitality experience.
I think for many reasons, the French Laundry. We did like a huge trip just before COVID of going to like Northern California and going around there and I think to go to Yountville to see Thomas Keller, and he was there.
Wow.
And to have a tour by him and just how that experience is, but hospitality being everything, and it's like 4.5 hours. Though the trip was magical, that experience was magical. Him taking us around was magical, and just seeing he has the kitchen was being done up at the time, so they were working out of like an out kitchen. But it was nearly done. They'd be going in there next week, and so we were taken around the kitchen with all the plastic still on it. You think how many pre-opening?
You were like this. I'm going to peel that off now.
And just knowing what that means to get to that point, I think I would just like, oh my God, I know what that is.
Yeah. Did you put him aside and say, I've been there?
Yeah, you and me.
Yeah, together.
We can do this. And he has a screener per se, and so while he's running that service, he's watching and listening to what's going on in New York in per se.
Wow.
Yeah, and just seeing how the detail was going.
As in the past or something?
Yeah, on the past, watching everything.
Wow.
Yeah, and you,
an earpiece. No, wrong.
There's communication going on through in all services. Impressive. And he has this room of like crockery, which was just beautiful, and fundamentally he picks, or I imagine whoever's leaving in that service, I think maybe for the week, I think he said, they pick the crockery for the week of what menu they're going to do, and knowing that what we did previously was always the pre-opening and the creativity side of it and the concept development, just seeing how he got to what we experienced. Yeah, that was magical.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome. That's a proper experience.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the nicest experiences that I've heard so far in there. So yeah, that's awesome, and that resonates with you as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay, not to be horrible to every other experience that people have said. So, but
I wouldn't name anyone here because they'd be like, "Who have you mentioned?" Like my lot would be like, "Well, did I get listed?" No.
Yeah, WhatsApps.
Yeah.
I'm not in here. Okay, best hospitality tech, and this could be anything you've used or anything you've been experienced or anything you've been immersed into or anything.
Well, I think it's more, I'm interested at this moment in time with the likes of All Gravy and Nuda.
Yeah.
I'm interested really, it comes back to a question on like trends as well, how that communication piece is going to happen and how that tech can merge the generations. Mm-hmm. So I think more the journey that Nuda's going on in terms of where they're going to help in the communication piece. And All Gravy does a financial piece that is lovely, though they seem like they're moving quickly.
They're moving really quickly.
And Matt and Jonathan, I just think are really nice men, wanting to do great things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know whether it's fully completed yet, though I think the speed in which tech is moving anyway, that wouldn't be right anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how that's all going to move forward.
I think that communication piece is super important.
Yeah.
And the more people can engage with it, the better. Otherwise, things get lost. I was speaking to, this is ages ago, like Amir, who works at Transformative.
Yeah.
And they have Nobu Group and so on. And he was just developing a bit of stuff. And he was like, I'm going to try and build a bot to put all our HR documentation into one little place so people can ask questions. And he just built something to mess around with, right?
Yeah.
And got them to ingest it all. And he was like, he asked them to test it and they were like, that's going to save us hours. I mean, he's busy now doing other stuff. And there are other tools out there now. But the possibility of trying to put something in when someone asks a question, he built this tech and they were using it and they were just putting information into it and they were asking questions. And that's just a basic of what he was doing. But what All Gravy and Nuda are doing is allowing people to really be any question, really, right? You can have any question in any part of the business. So when I was doing my researcher for this podcast is Mr. ChatGPT, and they've released deep research into ChatGPT now. Yeah. So previously I would give it links and I would say, please give me some questions. Mm-hmm. But for you and for Ben just gone, I asked it to I pressed a deep research button. Yeah. And it found 60 sources. Yeah. And it went through.
Hello.
Right, exactly. And the questions that it came out with.
I have not done myself. Right? This is absolutely fascinating.
You should. So I've got the pro version, so I'm allowed the research.
I've got pro.
So you should look at the deep research, and what it does is it looks at the history. Yeah. Right. So it looks at all your history. So
what did you input?
So I gave your website. Prompt? I'm not giving you that. I'm not giving everyone else that. But I will give it to you later. So, what it did was it looked at. Originally, it would just look at the sources. It would look at the LinkedIn. Yeah. Your history.
I'm there lots.
Right. You are. But it would look at just your profile on LinkedIn. Then it would look at the website, and it would previously it was just normal stuff. But the deep research asks itself questions. Oh, well, Michelle did this. It would be very interesting to ask this question based on her research and her knowledge of this. And then and you can watch it doing its thing. So you press expand. Yeah. Took about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's confused me as well, the expansion, because I use it regularly. Yeah. You know, because I lose my flow. Yeah. Yeah, go on.
So this one, the little line was going up and I was really interested to see what I was like, what, are you ready yet? And it was like, bear with us. I'm still looking into it. And it took about maybe 8 minutes. And when I pressed the expand button, it was unbelievable. It basically took all the sources from any podcast you've done, it used your name search on the internet. Because previously I had Elliot Hill from 1 Lombard Street. Mm-hmm. Now there's an Elliot Hill who's a head chef. And there's also, I think, the head of Nike is Elliot Hill. Oh. So before the deep research, it pulled out him being a chef. He was a chef, which is weird. Yeah. But this one, it was like, I found other Michelle Morenos. No, these aren't linked to this Michelle Moreno because this Michelle Moreno is linked to this.
And so it's checking its
resources. It's checking its resources. Yeah. It did the full research. It had 60 different sources it was pulling data from and then pulled out.
I'm sort of proud of her.
I'm going to send it to you because it has your whole history. Because I asked it to deep dive in your history and everything. and their features?
I think it's really helpful in that way, because even with what I do in the leadership side of it is people can't see their blind spots. And that my job in them rooms is for us, as one of the things we need to find out, is where are your blind spots?
Yeah.
Like, or where are you all group thinking and not being able to think of, and so the great thing about it is, because it's not a human, people get less defensive and personal about the...
But you know what's interesting, what you could do is you could do a type form, send a prerequisite type form to ask certain questions, put any web links that might be in it, and then ask that to do deep research if it's for that company, because then it's doing proper research. You can do generic ChatGPT stuff, but the deep research now is doing, like, people are uploading, I know we're teeing off tangent here, but they're now uploading like medical research. And something that would have taken a month of medical research to do is taking 2 hours.
I think the other thing that would be interesting in that is things like, we get so locked into our world of hospitality that how does this compare to what other industries are doing, and like, and driving us that way to, you know, because our major problem is we do it the same. They're in a country I've been to that's doing it differently. You know, we all do it the same way. So being able to push them boundaries. Yeah,
I think it'd be really interesting to see the question, asking a question, and then seeing what other sectors. Anyway, we can go on forever. But I'm going to go back. We're going to go back in time, because this is going to be cool. So I digress, people. Sorry, I'll put some info about the deep research on the podcast notes. So these are one of the insightful questions. So looking back at your start in hospitality, how did the first waitressing job at Asia de Cuba come about? And what were the early influences or mentors helped? What early influences or mentors helped shape your passion for the industry in those formative years? And before you start, I went to the St. Martin's Lane Hotel, and the bar, the little area where the bar is, where the pictures are cool, but that restaurant on the left as you come in.
What, sad?
It's just sort of like there.
Well, it lost its heart, didn't it? You know, it's been a long time. It was 1999. Monday night, I did a keynote speaking for Kelly's cause. For International Women's Day, and with theme is acceleration in action. And when they said we're looking for a location, I said, who could you work? What are the options? And they said we could go to Sanderson, and I went, if we can go to Sanderson, can we go to St. Martin's Lane? And they went, I went, let's go there. And that was what the keynote was, that I started there August 16th, 1999. I fell in, so I finished university from performing arts, majored in dance. So many things wrong about.
What did you get?
I got a 2-1. I was like a
strong
B plus.
2-1's great.
Yes, though in one element I was an entertainment sort of thing. Anyway, it was fine. It was an easy 2-1.
Where did you go to uni?
Middlesex University, North London. Dropped off in at the shithole that was Wood Green at the time. Lost from though fun. And I was looking to go to auditions, and it was when we had papers, and it was the stage, and there was this advert.
The stage. Oh my God, yeah.
And there was this advert for St. Martin's Lane Hotel. But I think it might have been for Asia de Cuba, and I didn't even know what it was. It didn't even say it was a restaurant. And so I went along. They did this terrible thing where we went into a building, and it was like, go this way if you were attractive. That was like bar girls. Go this way if you got personality. So I was taken to the left. Yes. And my friend was sent to the right. And afterwards I realised, oh my God, this is the worst thing. Anyway.
It's back in nightclubs as well. You used to do the same thing, right? They used to bring all the girls in, and then just like, you go that way, you go that way.
Them. And
it's sad. It's crazy, isn't it?
And I went, and then the second time I went for the interview.
Oh, so hold on, so you passed the first interview?
I passed well, I think it was just literally pick a mix. Can you talk? And she got personality. I don't think there was much to it. And then I went to see who then became our GM, Joe Leonard. And I can remember going to this big office and going in, and she was chatting away. And then when I got up to leave, I went, what's the job for? She went, a waitress. And I went, oh, I know nothing. I'm from Grangetown in Cardiff, nothing. And she went, you'll be fine. And I went, okay. And I can remember going to the phone box and calling my mum, because I didn't even have a mobile at this moment in time, going, not going to get that. And then getting a letter saying you're going to start
in the post.
Yeah, in the post, saying you've been offered an offer letter. Yeah. You've been offered a job. And I was like, well, let's go along and see. And my life changed it is the greatest story ever for me, because it changed everything. My whole world changed that day I started.
What was it like? So were you there when it was first opening?
Pre-opening.
Pre-opening.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Philippe Stark design coming in.
Yeah. I mean, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was mind-blowing. Well, it was wonderful because I always say the first food tasting, they brought like tuna tartare. I still know the full menu off by heart. Tuna tartare with the olives, currants and almonds on wonton crisps and the carpaccio with the type. I still know it inside out. And they brought it and I was like, what's that? And they're like, raw. And I was like going, no one eats raw food. Like I'd never seen food like it. And the first person I served was Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, it was the who's who. It was a very different time.
Yeah.
Everybody was living their best life. We were, they were. It was a dream, an absolute dream. And it was an American company. So they weren't coming with the attitude of they didn't have the hierarchy I would learn about later on in my career.
Yeah.
It was all about potential.
Yeah.
And they saw potential and they supported it. So in terms of, there was so many people there. There was a lady who came over from America called Sarah Rayner when everybody else probably wanted to fire me because I was shit.
Yeah.
When she's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And there was the guy who came in October as the GM, Mike Hayden, who's still at what's the place on Leicester Square, the casino place?
Well, Empire? No. Oh, Hippodrome.
Hippodrome.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah. That's a great space.
He's phenomenal, and he was wonderful. He was so people-led without us even realising what that meant at the time. And he really taught me.
It was like a people champion.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And he taught me, especially because I got my assistant manager's job there, how to look after people and see people.
So how long after the Waitress, what was the progression?
Waitress,
Week later.
August 16th, assistant manager.
How old were you? What was it? You were when you started?
22.
Yeah, okay.
That was August 16th, 1999. Christmas of 2000. So about 18 months later, the other assistant manager got drunk and fell asleep in the cloakroom and got caught by the hotel. Now, in them days, if you got caught by F&B, no one would have cared. They just would have put you in a taxi home.
Yeah.
But the hotel caught them. So he was out and I got offered the assistant manager role then.
Amazing.
And I stayed till the New Year's Eve of 2003, 2004.
That's a long stint.
I did, 3.5 years. And phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. And just a beast in. And like the best way to start. High end. Though, 500 covers a night, energy, and when the concept development came in later on, like everything, it needs to be about the food, it needs to be about the experience, it needs to be about the music, it needs to be about the design. Like I didn't realise the gift of an opportunity that was given to me.
Yeah, it was a beast.
Yeah,
I mean, it was always rammed.
It was
there were
phenomenal.
queues outside for the.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
It was extremely special time that I was.
Do you think that was a bit of a unicorn because it was very different concept back then for others that were out there?
Well, because the other restaurant across the way, they were all Marco boys. So you came in and it was St. Thames originally, and the Asia de Cuba, because it was a Jeffrey Chadero restaurant, was never going to work in their eyes. Yeah, and that just went immediately.
Yeah.
And St. Thames became Tuscan Steak 18 months later, though they had the best review when it came out in I think it was the Evening Standard. It was called Tuscan Mistake. Still my best. That was the heading. And it was a nice restaurant, but it couldn't compete.
No.
Like it was such a wonderful. People were creating dreams.
But it was
in that
consistent.
Restaurant.
It was. That's the difference. It's the consistency. The same with nowadays with brands, right? You can make it consistent, and then when you revisit, you have the same experience when you revisit. It blows your mind. Yeah. I think for me, I had the opportunity to go, so it was amazing. It was amazing. I think my wife went to the bar more than anything else.
Oh, it was
back
wonderful.
Then. But,
wonderful.
So okay, so what happened from then? So 2003.
Yeah. Then I went to my partner had been the head chef of Asia de Cuba, or was the head chef in Asia de Cuba, and he had got a job with Nobu to Shanghai. Yeah. So we were supposed to move. I was going to move with him to open Shanghai Nobu, and SARS hit, and so they said it was on a delay, and they went, oh, but we're doing a season in this island called Mykonos. So this is 2003. Nobody had ever heard of Mykonos, not in our world anyway. No. And they said, do you want to go to Mykonos for a summer? And we were like, it was his choice. I was like, yeah, I'll go anywhere. So I wasn't planning on going to do anything. Yeah. And they were a few days in, and Sam, who was their openings manager, went, will you come in and help me? I went, no, I'm not. He would just do a couple of nights for me to help out, because they were taking over an existing restaurant in the Belvedere Hotel with the existing team, and there was a bit of resistance. And I went, yeah, all right, then I'll come in and help you. And then a couple of days later, he went, I'm going back to London.
He went, I'm going back to London.
Yeah. So I took over running the team of Nobu in Mykonos.
Yeah.
And so we did the season of our life.
So how old were you running the team at Mykonos?
If I started at 22 and we would have left there, I would have been about 26, 27.
That's quite a big thing, running like 26, running a whole freaking...
Oh, me leading. You're like, I've been bossy since I was 3. So that was never... not that I did it well necessarily over the years, I've learned. Though that would have excited me.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been... I don't think I even questioned whether I could or couldn't at that moment in time.
Just went for it.
I just went
for it. But that's your whole ethos, to be fair. You're more like...
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
And we were going for it together. It was, it was...
Food was good then?
Yeah, it was lush.
Yeah.
Many memories made, great friends, some of my... From Asia de Cuba and that time especially, they're still my best mates now.
Nice. And then from... How long were you there for? Just a summer, or was it extended?
Yeah, we did from, I think, the March, I think, until about the end of October. And then because the way the deal was set up, by then it was with the brothers Nicholas and Tassos. So we went and did the season in Samoritz at the Badrut's Palace, which they still have both.
Yeah.
So it was a test season. So it was a Matsahitsa when we did it, it was a test year to see the relationship with the brothers and the partnership, I suppose. And then the deal was done properly the following year. And it became Nobu then. So we did Mykonos, and then we all went...
Is that still going now?
Yeah, both of them are still going now.
Wow. Have you been back?
Yeah. Yes, we went in 2013 to Mykonos to do our 10-year anniversary, which was like the hangover trip. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And weirdly, Col, who I work with, because I work with MGMK, they've just gone and done 2 weeks pop-up at the Badrut's Palace. So we were in a meeting, they went, oh, there's this thing going on that we might go to Samoritz. And I was like, not at the Badrut's Palace. They went, were you there? I went, yes, but in 2003.
Yeah.
Or 2004, I would have been at the Badrut's. Yeah, so I haven't been back to Samoritz.
Yeah.
So that was, and that's how I sort of fell into doing openings.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a choice.
I think the interesting thing, when I've spoken to other people about openings, I remember speaking to like Tommy at Honest as well.
Yeah.
Being thrown into openings.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard. But if you get thrown in, like anything, you just bite to it, and then you learn as you go.
Yeah.
But openings is hard. Like there's so many things. Like just so many things that could go wrong, can go wrong.
Well,
even
we had
from
the
kitchen.
Bible in the end from
Yes.
TGP, so we'd worked on it. Though I never found it hard in that way. I like the manicness and the chaos of it all. And
you're the fixer. You're a fixer.
And which is how I sort of describe myself even now.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get me because there's a problem to be solved.
Yeah.
And that's what we're gonna. Not necessarily a bad problem. It could be. I think I'm good. Like in the you're good, and we want to get great.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to.
Well, there's a puzzle, and you want to just complete the puzzle.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice way of saying it.
Absolutely. Okay, so after there, you went to, and then so what's next?
We went to India, and we lived in a palace that floated in the middle of the lake.
Shut up.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, in Udaipur, which I didn't actually work for that time. The Nobu thing was they were just going to move us around, and I think both of us were like,
So was Nobu as well?
No.
Okay, something else.
That's what we'd done the 2.
Yeah.
And the deal then was going to be Shanghai wasn't happening. We were going to go back and forth, and I think both of us at the time were a bit like, that's not going to work. And so Sean got a job with Taj Hotels, and the first place was we were sent to a palace that floated in the middle of a lake. And so we moved there. And I didn't work for that 6 months. I just walked around, like literally on elephants, living my best life. And then from there, they were opening a resort.
Same guys?
Yeah, with Taj Hotels.
Yeah.
They were opening a resort in Mauritius, and they couldn't find the right exec chef. So I can remember being in the room and really starting to enjoy India, because initially I was scared stiff by it, but really started to settle in and understand how this all worked and what I could learn from it. And I can remember Sean coming in and going, we're going to Mauritius. And I was like, I don't want to go. And he was like, it's not a choice. We either go or we go home.
Yeah.
And so we moved to Mauritius. And that was when I fell into it again. They were like, we need help. And so that was it. And we had about 7 restaurants to open in a very short amount of time.
Wow. Well, in one place or just multiple?
One resort.
Resort.
Like a villas resort.
Yeah.
Well, when we opened just before Christmas, and on Boxing Day, someone flew in because they didn't like the hotel they were. And for a week, I served Harvey Weinstein.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah. It was very polite.
Yeah.
No issues.
Back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, wow. Okay. And so, okay, amazing. So was it on a little island or was it?
It was in Flick and Flack area of Mauritius. That's what the area was. Flick and Flack in Mauritius. No, God, I didn't enjoy it. It was dull.
Yeah.
After going to India, to Mauritius, that's just fine if you're going on a 2-week holiday and you're going to go on a catamaran and have a nice day.
Yeah.
To live, you went from absolute what the hell is going on in sense overload to tourist
deadline.
And I was like, out. I need to get back to London. And by that time, we'd been travelling for a few years and I'd been following Sean around. And I think I was just, it's time to make my own name instead of always being the support. Yeah. And that was when we moved back to London.
Yeah, to Blighty. Yeah.
And the TGP.
And is that when you started?
Yes.
So is that when you met Simon?
No, Simon had been the F&B director at St Martin's Lane and Sanderson.
So you already knew him?
Yeah, I already knew him. No, we weren't, I worked in Asia de Cuba and everybody left us alone. Like, we were making shitloads of money. Yeah. Nobody...
That's what they care about.
Yeah, and he was obviously doing his things that were strategic. I'm not saying narrow, just in terms of day-to-day operations.
Yeah, but that was a beast of a place, so you couldn't really...
Yeah, and I knew they had Sanderson and St Martin's Lane, and I wasn't at that level to be in a meeting with him at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Then when we come back in 2005... a friend of mine was working for him and I'd gone in to see him and he'd said, I'd never used a computer at that time. And
sorry, pardon me?
At 2005, I'd never used a computer.
Ever?
No, like I think I might have done a couple of rotors and things like that. Never like worked on a computer.
Yeah.
And he'd come in and said, oh, so you looking? And I went, yeah, And he said, oh, can you do me a CV? And I was like, oh, God, I don't want to do a CV. So when he was going, I'm going out for lunch. So I went on his laptop and wrote my CV on his laptop on a Word document and left him a note and going, the rest.
Yeah.
And that was it. He went, I'll give you 3 days work if you need some cash. And that turned into 16 years.
16 years. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So what was your first role at the company? How many people were at the company?
I think there was about 5 of us directly at TGP. Darren, Mark Dillon. Sophie, maybe just 4 of us initially. Yeah. There were so many different versions of it.
Yes.
I think I was just doing the ops. Yeah. Openings, developing people,
What was the first project with TGP that you did?
The penthouse in Leicester Square.
God, I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was that was the very first thing, and randomly
it was above home where home was originally. Yeah.
And at the same time,
that was awesome. That was a bar restaurant.
Yeah,
no?
I came at the back end of it though. I think it had already been awesome.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember it getting in the lift, going up right to the top.
Yes.
And then the glass and yeah. God, I remember it.
And at the same time, Origin was opening at the Hospital Club with Adam Byatt, and so I helped that, and now I still work with Adam Byatt now. Yeah, so that's wonderful.
So it was your black book.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were basically brought in to do openings or just fix ops?
Yeah, ops, just openings, I think, and ops and training. At the time, it was a lot to do with training and development. Teams.
Yeah. Okay, so what was your role when you started at TGP?
Oh, I don't know what it would have been called. Ops manager, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
And then throughout the years, did you end up? How did that change? Because obviously, who built the Bible as well? I mean,
I think collectively, me and Simon.
Yeah.
It was so much to do with what his vision and what he knew, and then he would find the business, I would do the work, and the teams around, and then that grew to different things as times went on. But collectively, And just, it would just build. It was just something that was evolutionary.
But I think the thing is that you guys were a bit of a unicorn, because now there's like 30 different consultants.
Yeah.
Like back then, there really wasn't that many that I remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That could look externally, they could look externally and go, your business.
Yeah.
There was other really big consultancies that would charge you lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
But there was no real restaurant that many.
And I think we were very much hands-on.
Yeah.
We would, if you would...
Completely, you would be there.
Yeah, fully.
For hours.
Hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, always. And so I hope that was... a key part in what we were ops people, all of us.
Yeah.
So everybody knew.
But then you had
to do.
Did you have food development at that point as well, or not? Was that later?
Yeah, because Nick Quaddy would have been with us in the office that we were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah.
So there was always, it was always. We'd always started, because Simon had his own restaurant group at the time anyway. We had
what was that?
It was called because we opened the grill when we opened the Hoxton in 2006. Grill was his restaurant with his business partner at the time, and that was 9 restaurants.
Yeah.
So we had a restaurant group out of London. They were in Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, Harrogate, and Lincoln as well.
Yeah.
Then we had the consultancy, which was either concept development or classic hotel consultants, a lot to do with hotels or entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
There was always many fingers in many pies. So it was you were always learning, and it was always evolving, and people would come and go in. The size of the business would come and go over all of them times. But a massive opportunity. And he had a lot of, I was given a lot of trust to do, as he didn't mind my madness.
But it worked.
Yeah.
Which is a difference. Even with the learnings, it still worked, right?
Yeah.
So, from opening to opening, from challenge to what it is, I guess it's building those teams.
Yeah.
And putting the right operations in place, because it's going to fail, right?
Yeah.
You don't have that in the foundations in place, then things are going to be mixed. Any business really is the same thing, right? Foundations.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that's another learning curve, foundations linked to cultures. Yeah, loads of learning. And, who the people are involved as well really make, like the ingredients matter.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So we're now into, he's got restaurant group, you're doing more openings. Where did the transition from there? Did he, because it's 16, I mean, we can recap 16 years, but obviously you grew within did you stay the same role throughout, or did you just sit on top of more people?
Just sat on top of more people.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, if we needed to grow, I would head it up. If there was a problem to solve, I would head it up.
Yeah.
So, that's how it went, and then more people just came along and helped us as it was getting bigger and bigger.
When did, because you end up getting, at some point, there was investment from other, external investment, right?
Yeah.
So more from Middle East and others, and probably everywhere really. When did that change? Was it always external, from different areas, or was it local? Because you had some entrepreneurs, some hotels and stuff and so on, but then obviously an injection coming in.
That came rather much later.
Yeah.
We expanded to UAE well before the investment came in, and that only would have happened maybe 2007.
Wow.
Or even.
That whole move. Did you move out there as well, or not?
No, I always did. I do 5 weeks in London and then 10 days in UAE.
Yeah.
And then Scott went out to UAE for us to sort of.
For us. You sent Scott out.
Yeah.
With the family.
Basically.
With the family.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Yeah. Well, it was just him and Sally at the time. He came back with the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously there was a need out there as well at that point.
Yeah.
So more openings before the UAE. When was By Chloe?
Oh, that came later as well. That was a deal done with. That was sort of when the investment came.
Yeah, because I remember before that you had Reform Social for ages, right?
Yeah, and the one in Dubai is still killing it.
Is it?
Yeah, massively.
Is it here still?
I think so, but in a different format.
Yeah.
But the one in Dubai always...
Was that one of the first ones that you guys did in Dubai?
That was the one who did, and to be honest, why it put us on the map in Dubai is that it was the first time... I can remember being in a meeting and we were doing the concept development, and it was a change of concept from London. The core concept was the same, but the one in Dubai was a different market. It was in a community. And so we were really making it a gastro pub.
Yeah.
And I can remember sitting in a meeting with the marketing team, and this was early doors of the Dubai as well, and saying, you can't call it a gastro pub. And I went, so what are the options? And they were like, we're going to call it a gastro lounge. I went, that doesn't exist. It's not a word. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, so let's, you know, and I think for many reasons, Naeem was happy to push the boundaries a bit, which I'm sure he's very pleased about now, and support it. And I can remember sitting with Nick and having an A3 piece of paper and just drawing it out.
Yeah.
And going, and he went, yes, let's do it. You know, we knew the essence of the brand, but what it would look like in that space. And Reform just became a beast. Yeah. Very quickly, and changed. They were at the time in Dubai. There was, you know, QSR restaurants, and there was high end like Le Petit Maison and Nobu, Zuma, especially more over there. Yeah, but there wasn't really quality in a middle set at that moment in time. And Reform and a couple of others were one of the first of the time to set that going, and it just went boom. Yeah.
Yeah, well, QSR to fine dining, no middle.
Yeah. And
so what was it? Was it called a gastropub? Or
I don't think everybody just called it Reform in the end. It just was what it was. Well, you didn't have to name it. Yeah, they knew what it was. It was full of British people, so they got it.
Well, I guess more the explosion over there, right? Yeah. Like everyone moved and it just went crazy. Yeah. So was it mainly Brits
in there at the beginning? Yeah, and they were a nightmare, rude. And that was half the battle of being like, you're just rude. Like, what is going, like, this is not going to happen here. Like, and again, Naeem sort of backed us all up to be able to say to people, no, and Simon, they were pretty firm on, we're going to set the behaviour here, and it isn't you lot being rude to our staff. Yeah. Which is what was happening at that time. Really? Yeah. People, manners, had left the building.
They left the UK and came to. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It was super exciting and really enjoyable, and a gorgeous time for me, because during that time we opened like China Grill in the West. The Weston's one of the biggest hotels, F&B wise especially. Tolga, who's now with Ennismore, is a fascinating, talented creator, and F&B is always at the Weston been superb in Dubai. And so when we got the opportunity to open China Grill, it was a moment for me, because Jeffrey Chadero, who is the owner of Asia de Cuba, was now coming, and now I was sat at the table with one of my idols opening a restaurant with him and having, like good conversations with him, tough conversations, being shouted at because something was going wrong. But the whole time I was like, that little girl. Yeah, that was me. Is now at this table. Making this
That's
shit
an amazing
happen.
Achievement, though.
Yeah, and I'm proud, and I was always fearless as well. So if anybody needed to be told something, they'd just roll me in.
Yeah. You say how it is. You always have said how it is. It just rolls off the tongue. I've been there. But I always just took it with a pinch of salt. The boys not necessarily took it with a pinch of salt, but I was like, it's just Michelle. Yeah. Like one of the guys is crying. He's like, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So yeah, but listen, sometimes you need a bit of tough love, right? Yeah. So okay, so. Continually big projects in Dubai. Was it just?
Are you going to edit this?
No, this is going all the way through, 100%. This is awesome. This is because it's a story, right? And no one really knows the story. You didn't even talk about it, so hopefully this will be on some of your website. God. But this is awesome. So, was it just Dubai, or did you go further out? Because
we would already been in Lebanon. Yeah. In Dubai, once you're in Dubai, you're in that area anyway. So whether it's Abu Dhabi and things, we were doing stuff in Qatar. Yes. So Lebanon, we were very fond with because we'd done so much with the Venetia Hotel. We'd done the F&B strategy with the Venetia Hotel, which is the most beautiful hotel in the world.
Where's that?
In Beirut.
Okay.
And so we spent a lot of time in Lebanon, and it felt like we had friends in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Then we went and did Dubai, which means you're in that area anyway, whether that's mainly between Abu Dhabi and Dubai.
Yeah.
You're going back and forth to Qatar anyway, because we hadn't gone to Saudi at that point, and that came at a later stage.
Yeah, but things changed in Saudi, didn't it? It got a bit easier.
Yes, far more easier. And I only went after the change, really, and even now it's moved on so much. Even it's unrecognisable, I think, for them, let alone.
Yeah, I can imagine.
People going in and what your assumption is going to be, and not that like Riyadh's just like a mini Dubai without the alcohol.
Yes. Yeah. And I was talking to someone the other day. I think Novikov's just outside. Is it just outside Riyadh? There's some sort of thing that's just outside Riyadh on that border-ish, so you can go drink. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong. I don't remember, but I remember there's about like you get in a taxi, you drive for 45 minutes, and you're past that little barrier.
Yes,
and
then you can towards Bahrain then.
I don't remember where it is.
Well,
so you know more than me, but I remember speaking to someone who was like, get a cab for 45 minutes and then
you'll be there.
And you're fine.
Yeah.
So,
so we were already...
even now Riyadh, even though Riyadh does know alcohol, it's better for the current generation, right? Because there's alcohol anyway, isn't it?
It's quite nice as well to go... Like, there is something enjoyable about that's not a decision you have to make.
Yeah.
There is a lightness with that not being in the mix that you wouldn't have thought about beforehand, or that that's the responsibility of the fun, because that's taken out. The fun
the stigma's
is made.
Gone, right? Yeah, I love that.
And also, we were still doing everything in Europe as well, because we worked with a lot of hotel groups. So whether we were in Amsterdam,
did you transition more into the hotel side?
It was always a mix. Hotels were always there doing stuff with Intercontinental, like big groups, always. So it was always very eclectic. I was doing beach clubs out of Palma, Marbella, and we would just keep flying for years and years. Bar concepts in Amsterdam. Hotels in Montenegro. Yeah. It was...
I can't wait to read your memoir. Jesus Christ.
God, I don't know. I can't even remember it myself.
You're doing a pretty good job, to be honest with you.
Oh, no, yeah. It was madness, chaos, a lot, overwhelmed.
It was continuous, wasn't it?
It was continuous. It didn't stop. And to be honest, why we probably got to the end of the road, it was changing into something else. Yeah. And so it was time to... change.
So when did you finish?
The last day was April 1st, 2000, just as we'd been sent into COVID.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it went tits up really quickly for me.
Yeah. What, for you? Why?
Because I was leaving and I was thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, and then lockdown. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
And
so what was the thought process then? Sit down. What did you do? What did you do then?
I started naming QAB Leadership immediately, though I had no idea what that was going to be or what I needed it to be. And it's probably only in the last... the first 18 months I didn't much at all. I think I was mourning the past and celebrating freedom. And that's what it felt like, a bit like mourning what had been.
Because your phone, I remember your phone never stopped. Yeah. Your phone was like, I don't think I'd ever seen you not on a call. If I was anywhere near you, you were either on a phone or replying to someone. Like Michelle's over there. I'm like, she's going to be busy for... You were just there, boom, 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 boom.
The intensity, the intensity of what we were working was, you've got to be a certain type of character to be able to keep up with that. I had 3 phones. I looked like a drug dealer. I had my Europe phone, like my London phone. I had my UAE phone, and I had my personal phone. And so I just walk around and sit in meetings with 3 phones. It was.
Which one was important to answer first?
It was always the work phones. It was always the personal phones. Never got answered.
Time zones crossed, and it didn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
It was just consistent.
Yeah. I was always in a meeting.
Yeah. I just don't know how you... So when it came further down the line to I remember Crab Tavern was one of the little projects that you guys had. That was an interesting one in Broadgate Circle. But By Chloe was an interesting one.
Yeah, that was really interesting. It was a really exciting piece because you were... Kutos, this man at that point, had invested in, and they had a fund to bring buy the licenses for Europe and the Middle East.
Yeah, and it was a cool... it was the first ever vegan brand in the UK before anyone.
Yeah.
And, to have Wok Burger, make that cool, and have a sign in Covent Garden where thousands of people came just to sit by the freaking LED. I mean, and get some, some tofu fish and stuff. But I mean, crazy.
Yeah, and they were, like the Instagram originals. Like we were learning from them as a brand at that moment in time.
Yeah, but that was early doors for Instagram as well, right? So I think maybe was it video just started, maybe, or photo? I don't
only
remember.
Just.
Yeah.
Like they were still at the stage where everything looked beautiful on their feed. Because it was so...
Yeah, there was no UGC stuff. It was all like, not like curry. If you've seen curries on TikTok, it's absolutely hilarious. PC World and curries. You literally have the staff doing all the memes, doing hilarious stuff, holding up a laptop saying, and then, the one where the girl does the little kick for the water bottle. Yeah. And she goes, hiya! And then, so you've got the girl doing the kick, right? And then the guy runs forward and smashes it. And then she's going, this is a laptop, an Intel Core. And then you hear the, hiya! And then he hits it again. And then she looks at him, she grabs the water bottle and says, stop it! And he's like, okay. And then she carries on the advert. Same, like they have just done it. Whichever agency told them to do it,
it's phenomenal.
They've got EGC, employee generated content, and it is so funny that I think it's turned a key. I think it's just they've just taken having a laugh with it.
Oh, good though, and people enjoy that. People like being involved.
100%.
Yeah.
And so I mean, back in then you're right. So their feed was all pretty and beautiful.
Oh, it was a
little bit of avocado.
It was gorgeous. It was very well thought through.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they bought the license for Dominic Ansel at the same time.
Yes.
So it was.
I mean, that bakery when it opened in Victoria was just, I've never seen anything like it. Even, I mean, I know it's a different brand now, but the building on its own with the kitchen upstairs and being by Victoria Coach Station, I don't think I've ever seen that many people. When you got the site, and I looked at it, I was in awe of how you even got it. Yeah. Because the footfall, just standing there for 20 minutes, 1,000 people must have walked past.
It was exhausting for everyone who worked there because of the demand and the capacity. Because it was so skill intensive. Yeah. Of what was needed.
Yeah. Because he was the founder of the Cronut, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So exactly. I mean, that's before all this new stuff that's out there.
And they were both sides, though talented and brand phenomenal, were inexperienced in what a license agreement needed, and that was the hard part. Yeah. Was trying to get it to a point that we needed to get more towards a franchise model for us to know what we need to do. Otherwise, we're all trying to lead and manage. And that became everybody.
Did you have lots of pushback from basically their brands, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Not because they still wanted to be creative and they were still in their they were a disruptor brand.
Yeah. And they were still growing themselves.
They were still growing themselves. So not necessarily because anybody was wrong or bad. What we needed them to be in maturity, we were all learning at the same time. Yeah. So you get
it's different. It's not
1,000
brand capacity site out.
It's not a cookie cutter franchise model.
No.
There's so much more. So there was so much more time needed for decisions to get made, which meant everybody was probably pulling back and forth.
I think I remember obviously meeting Bao at By Chloe, and I remember walking through the kitchen, and I've never seen that. I mean, that kitchen was massive in Covent Garden. Yeah. And
it got work though.
Yeah, I mean, you had I think you probably. I'm going to shout out Shopwave because Shopwave was the first.
They were gorgeous young men.
So they were young back then. And I remember meeting them because they've got a new CEO now. Yeah. So which is or CMO. I don't remember now, but he's. I'm going to meet him soon. But hi Ben, by the way. And I remember shout out to them because I think they were one of the first people to have other than McDonald's obviously proper kitchen displays. Yeah. And you were bumping off kitchen displays, and it was just like a absolutely well-oiled machine. Yeah. The whole thing was just rock solid. Yeah. I remember. I so clearly remember walking in going, why are there tablets on here? I've seen QSR automations and stuff like that, but in a vegan QSR, I'd never seen that.
Yeah.
So it was definitely...
And it was interesting because you sort of needed like a Bal character to come in because we had never done QSR at that stage. It was the first time we were going into quick service restaurants. So I think the methodicalness part of it was, I think we were learning at the same time in that element as well. And understanding what the experience of full service restaurant could sprinkle on top of it to make it what it was as well. Do you know what's really interesting? Even if anyone has stayed on to listen to this, apart from my mum and dad, Bal won't even listen, is that I don't talk about TGP in that time.
Really?
It's so interesting to...
There's so much though. I mean, I was sort of part of it, so I remember loads of it. So, I mean, it's amazing, all the stuff that was done, like the brands, the generations, the restaurants opening, you know, working like your 3 phones. I mean, literally, you need to put a photo of the 3 phones, like literally, or go on eBay and buy some old
Blackberries,
ones. I remember
and then 2 Blackberries, and probably a Nokia. Yeah, it was before the iPhone.
Yeah, and the data was easy because the data was cheap on the Blackberries. It doesn't cost you anything because it was just compressed.
Yes, I have no idea about that. I had 3 phones that I didn't stop on. So then, we had a real laugh. Yeah. Like, even though it was like...
There were some serious moments, but yeah.
Yeah, we really did have a blast.
Yeah, well, to be fair, there were some really cool brands.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. So then, so By Chloe then expanded.
Yeah.
So then, how many were there in the end? 6, 5? Oh, I don't know. 4 maybe?
Covent Garden, Oxford, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think probably, And then...
I know BC4. Oh, yeah, and the one at Tower Bridge. Yeah, so it's BC1, BC2, BC3, BC4.
Oh, yeah, BC4.
Yeah, but,
I remember the labels, yes. Yeah, that Tower Bridge that walkway is just beautiful, isn't it? Have you been, where BC4 was?
Yeah, I haven't been there lately.
I walked past it the other day because I went for a meeting.
I think we were 5 years too early.
And, it's not there anymore. But I literally stood there and you look and all you see is the end of the walkway, just the bridge. Yeah. It's so pretty.
Oh, it doesn't look real, does it, that bridge? Like it does...
From that walkway of where the buildings are, you're sitting I literally took a picture of my kid there pointing at the bridge, and it was unbelievable. Just that view on its own. I remember a friend of mine who his son was a photographer, and some of the penthouse apartments were just left open. They were the doors were open. You can get through up to the lift, and the front door was just open. So he ended up
no one living in
there at that point. This is ages ago. And he went up there. He brought 10 friends, and loads of pictures. Had a laugh. And then no one said anything, no one knew anything, and they went back and forth. And the dad is a friend of mine. I was like, where did you get these photos from? Oh, that penthouse is still open.
Wow.
Someone must have just obviously...
Because the development was so interested in the people, though they were, the actual developers were property people. And like... Whoever was doing like Coal Drop Yards or Carnaby Street understood the marketing and the calendar that needed to be done around it to make the mark.
Yeah, and like Broadgate Circle, that whole,
Yes, you need to understand what that is as well to create this area.
Yes. It was very flat, wasn't it?
Yeah, God, nothing.
There was nothing around it.
Nothing.
No like local events, no nothing. It was just, if you knew the street, you'd turn left and oh my God, all these restaurants are there.
Yeah.
And then when you come out to the end, you have the Ivy and you can see stuff.
Yeah, and or just somebody going, my wife said about Instagram, that type of conversation. You're like, no, this needs a whole team who are working on the whole area.
All they cared about, I guess, is the property above, right?
Yeah.
That was worth the money. Okay, we're going totally off trend. This is amazing. Okay, so...
Well, like that, I apologise. I'm this so old.
It's all good. To be fair, we have... I've put here transitions to leadership. So we've talked about moving to leadership. We've talked about you setting it up. So let's go back into the future now. So you spent a year and a half thinking about it, doing a little bits and bobs.
Yes.
You got the name immediately.
Got the name because it was a take. No, this is the funniest thing. It was a take piss of TGP, which Simon knew. Yeah. And so I thought I'll do QAB, but because I'm thick, I didn't think that this has a vowel in it. Like TGP is always TGP because it was consonants. But as soon as it's like QAB, then people don't know unless you put full stops in it. So people call it like QAB Leadership. So it just sounds like crap leadership. That's what I do. Come to me for crap leadership.
But people remember it.
Oh, well, I think they remember my gob, don't they? What's your company called again?
Yeah, exactly. Just leadership.
Yeah, just leadership.
Yeah, just leadership. Yeah. Leadership, absolutely. It doesn't matter, the name. It's all about the personality behind it, right?
And
so once you stand up, everyone pays attention. To be fair, right?
To jump
or you make them pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's more that.
So so you transition. You'd always done the leadership side anyway, right?
Yes.
You'd always done that piece anyway.
Yes.
Within building that team from launch to throughout. So then taking that knowledge and your black book of everything, and then converting it into helping other businesses, right?
Yes.
So then, what was the conversion like the? So you spent a year and a bit trying to build
studying, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I do. My brother's runs a PhD group in Goldsmiths University, and I was saying to him, "Oh, I might do something like occupational psychology."
Yeah.
And sort of really work out. And I've made loads of mistakes and done lots of work on myself as a leader through from 2015 and 16. And he was like, "You don't need to pay for it, Michelle, just start studying." And COVID was sort of a wonderful opportunity to be able to study. So I was just starting to find them models and tools and challenges of like what had happened, good and bad, individually, as teams, as businesses, and why did that happen? So I could start being able to articulate to other people why we do things, to be able to prove how we can move forward or take them with them. And then I think people just started to... Adam at Trinity was challenged, I think, at the time, because, it was post-COVID and they didn't have people around. And he said, do you want to help? And I was like, yeah. So I sort of had people who believed in me allow me to start testing things out.
Yeah.
And that's then just... And it took a while for me to sort of work it out and to get
build,
people...
and build the structure?
Well, I think that I think for a while I was trying to build a structure, and what I've realised now is that's not what I do. I go in, I talk, do we connect? Is there an opportunity? And then let's work out. Well,
you'll gauge it. Your experience, I guess, you within the first 30 seconds of talking to someone, which is probably the same thing when we do with the project. You know if there's synergy, right?
Yeah.
And if there's not synergy, it doesn't work, because there's no point flogging a dead horse with any business, really.
And loads of people need things, that will help. There's all support that is out there that will always be, and people are absolutely phenomenal at it. What I'm good at is going in and working out what you really need.
Yeah.
And helping that happen.
And so do you put system? So once you've done the conversation, then there's learning from that, and then what do you help them put systems and procedures in place afterwards, or put?
No. I work with that. We work out I've got a toolbox of how we can work together, and that be work with your leaders or the founders or whoever they are. Could be workshops of where we need to strengthen up the leadership side of it. Could be one-on-one coaching. Could be group coaching. Could be strategy.
Yeah.
And then we work out a tactic of how we're going to do it. And then I fundamentally join conversations and mentor for them to do it themselves. So I don't come up with any systems.
Oh, amazing. So you're there assisting.
Pushing them in the direction that we need to go.
Yeah.
In which way, where does the nudge come from?
Yeah.
Or where does
the counselling piece of
from?
What do you think you should be doing?
Yeah.
What do you think is the next...
And sometimes people are like, Michelle, what do you think? I went, opinions like arseholes, everyone's got one. You have to create it yourself. I'm here to help you. And I'll be there going, right, where are we at? What does it need to look like? Where are the tough points? What are we getting right?
Yeah.
Though for knowing the consultancy that didn't work, it is my advice in terms of my opinion of what I think needs to do only works if I'm in your business, and I don't want to be in your business. I want to help you lot be in your business.
Because looking from the outside is always better.
Yeah, and I'm not emotionally attached to it in terms of there's no ego, there's no I'm here to make sure you all succeed.
Yeah.
Or for us to face some very brutal decisions.
And I'm sure there's been some interesting conversations with businesses.
Yeah,
like that. Like, I guess looking in the mirror for some, it's a challenge. Hospitality is a challenge. I was listening to a podcast on the way into work today, and one of them was talking about the chef coming out the kitchen with a knife, and back in the day.
Oh, them days.
Yeah. Don't upset the chef, otherwise. Rather, he was saying, I don't remember what he was saying. Rather let the table go than upset the chef because you got 300 covers. If you know what I mean. So, but I think it's interesting because I think now you have a different workforce as well. Yeah. Right. So it's not necessarily back in the day you'd scream and X and Y and shout and people would just be quiet. Yeah. Now people will it's very different. Different workforce, different.
They'll just walk.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for the industry because in the end, we have to evolve, and we are evolving. Those, and you will either survive or you won't. And so I think that expectation coming from them, driven by that generation, and bleeding into even people of my age of no, or making sure that there's more of a balance to it, means that the industry will get better in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Give them the tools.
Yeah, give them the tools.
I feel like I'm going to go a little dig out to, not dig, but a little push out to Blend. Yeah. I wish that there was a little thing for you within Blend.
I met somebody at the...
Is that what, the service show?
No, on Monday at the Kelly's Cause event when I was talking. Oh, that's terrible. I can't remember the lady's name. Very nice. Good hair, if you're watching. I apologise, I'll find out. And I said, we'll have a chat.
Yeah, because I think I was talking to them a little while ago about having the tools available, but bolt-ons inside the courses. So having a QAB or whatever it might be called, QAB in there that people can just choose to bolt in.
Yeah.
You know, and then because it's TikTok-based TikTok-based workforce training, little snippets. So a little snippet video, and then asking questions at the end.
Yeah.
Which gives additional value to the business rather than having to go and get the whole course, but your like 3 pieces of when you first start is quick tips, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you could probably go in and train for them, the founder or the owner or the ops person, to help them use it.
And a lot of the time, you're right. It's quite often with that. It's just understanding what is our communication rhythm going to be, because especially if they're entrepreneurs,
they're everywhere.
You know,
their brains everywhere.
They're not going to change. You're not going to form them. Their creativity and their risk taking is who they are. But you can't pick and choose it. And so how do we work that everyone's clear on what these guidelines are or agreements are, so we all understand each other and stop being disappointed by, you know, the thing you hear quite often is people, oh, it's changed again. Yeah, it has. Woo, enjoy it.
Yeah, embrace.
Yeah, embrace. Yeah. Buckle up.
Yeah. Stay in the uncomfortable. I quite like that one. I like that term. Staying uncomfortable, because it will adjust your expectations.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the last questions I have here, which probably you can zip through if you like, was because obviously we went off key a little bit. Advice on aspiring entrepreneurs. It was basically saying for those aspiring hospitality entrepreneurs and consultants looking to make an impact, what advice would you share from your own journey? And are there any fundamental mindset or strategies you recommend for building a thriving career in the hospitality industry and turning passion into tangible success?
I think don't ever take yourself too seriously. Yeah. I think that's really important. Know it's going to take far longer than you ever imagined. And have you got that grit and resilience and determination and belief in yourself? I think you've really got to have... It's not thick skin, it's just a willingness to take the risk if you really want to last or do something impressive. I hear a lot about comparison, like you be busy being you, let other people be busy being them. I ain't fucking worried what anyone else is doing. Yeah. I'm competing against me and me of past. I look to learn from everybody else and I want to be part of a community, but I'm not in a comparison. And I think too many people seem to be talking about nowadays of comparison of other people. You know, you've got to be busy being you to be able to move forward. And I think that what was the other part of the question?
It was about like how to building a thriving career in hospitality, or what fundamental mindsets and strategies for building.
I think it's that being able to rethink, you know, and working on building a community. The more community, people want to help.
Yes.
People are nice.
Yeah, I think, so Sean Walsheff, his ask for help.
Yeah.
You know, always ask for help, because as you rightly said, there are people there. You just need to ask for help.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting nowadays that people are there to help you.
Yeah.
Or will know someone that can help you. Yes. So there's always, when I had Ben in, we were talking, I spoke to someone else the other day, it's like 3 degrees of separation in hospitality. If you don't know someone, the person next to you will know someone who knows someone. Or if they don't, they'll know someone who knows someone. Yeah. So there's always that piece of connection. So I think one thing that I find really nice is the consultants now. There are so many opportunities for so many consultants out there.
Well, financially, it works for businesses as well. because you can take skill without having a full-time salary. And you know what it's like with budgets and P&L, after doing them for years, you can place money somewhere. If a money fits somewhere which no one's going to question, you can hide money and spend. And so I think you can get skill. Though the consultants piece is really interesting, yeah? Because if you're going in there with opinion on what you've done before, I put money on it 95% of the time. If not more, it will not work. I will go back to opinions are like arseholes, everyone's got it.
Yeah.
You have to have a consultancy that is a partnership of support for the time they need it, and let them create it and do it, and you do facilitate it. And yes, there are moments where you mentor and go, these are the options you can look at.
Yeah.
These are the blind spots. Though if you go in, you know, with your Bible,
I know this works. This is what it is.
Yeah. Reject.
Yeah. The Bible is an interesting one. You can't run from it. Everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
Everything's different.
And if they don't create it themselves and it doesn't organically come from them, it's like sticking on a dress that doesn't fit you. The dress might be gorgeous and it might be really great. It isn't going to work for you.
Yeah.
And I think knowing from, especially if this isn't advice on a consultancy, you know, you are not there to tell them what to do. And if you think that's what it is, even if they tell you that's what I'm going to employ you to do, fine, but I'm still going to make sure I've got to coach it out of them.
Yeah, get the foundations, right? Yeah. I think I totally agree with you. People have the playbook, but that should just be a guide, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I guess as you're saying, don't give them the answer. Let them find the answer themselves. Guide them. Yeah. Guide them to the right way. Guide them to the right path.
With support, with not getting emotionally. You're not emotional, so you're not. You know, you've got clearer space to have a better conversations. You can ask better questions for them to get to it, and then that empowers them and gives them options they never knew that actually existed previously.
Yeah, I love that. That's going to be a nice clip, actually. Mm-hmm. To be fair, that's great. I 100% agree with you. I think people get on their journey and they're, you know, Chilango is one of my favourite brands, right? I love Chilango, great brand. You know, it finished, got bought by Tortilla. Tortilla's a great brand. Yeah. And that brand was awesome. Lots of changes in the business, lots of ups and downs. And we were there throughout the whole thing. It was really interesting. You know, different leadership, different people running it. I think at the end they were doing pretty well, but it wasn't the right time at the end. And it's getting the right people in to find what's wrong, what's happening, how do I fix, looking at the outside picture, and I think that's a challenge, isn't it? And also asking. Some people don't want to. Are worried about asking for help. Yeah, that's hard, right? To ask for help is quite hard in any business you're in. So and
you've got to have trust to be able to do that, and I think that's another element of. I hope people would know when I work with them, I'm all in with you. I'm going to go all the way with you. Well,
to be fair, you have a bit of a pedigree. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're just off the shelf. You know, I'm not going to pull QAB off the shelf and give it to someone. Yeah. You know, you have a crazy pedigree.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the wisdom piece of this is what options, this is what you can go, if we take this route, these are the possibilities of what could happen. So people can play it out before they make decisions. Yeah. And you've got more support to be able to, I think I really encourage people to do experimentation before they implement. Yeah. And even that process of then people are more on board and we can flex with things as we go along because it won't be what you thought it was going to be.
And change management in hospitality is a nightmare anyway. Like, so you do make a change of something, whichever it might be, to deploy that change.
Yeah, and fundamentally, why I always say to everybody that I work with, we don't change things, we evolve. Yeah. Because human beings do not want to change. Change means uncertainty. I don't know what is over there, and I would rather stay in the shit situation I am than go to uncertainty of what because at least I know how to protect myself here. Whereas evolution, we're phenomenal at, because I take the wisdom of the past, though I understand I need to move forward as well, but it feels more collaborative. Yeah. Change is make a decision, right or left, black and white. Yeah. Evolution is more grey.
Yeah, and what 40% of hospitality staff are black or white, right? Because you know, look at the spectrum, right? It's you know, very creative people. You know, I don't know what the real actual percentage is, but you know, you're right. And if you throw that change in, you're going to throw a massive haywire of the business. So I like that they evolve. I like that. That's really nice. And that will take us to our final questions.
Okay.
So our final questions are best restaurant.
Oh. Didn't I do that? The best restaurant with the food?
You did best hospitality experience.
Oh.
But you can have the same one if you want. But
Oh, do you know what? I'll do a new one.
go on then.
Again, look at me, thinking about who's going to watch it, and they're going, who did you mention?
When I was in China.
Yeah. Well, who's doing... I went to, in Peckham the other week, to a restaurant called Hauzu, yeah? And they have nailed the atmospherics, like the lighting, the vibe, the music. And it's not often, I always think of concepts like threads through, and people think of service, and people think of food, and people think of design. But all of that is wrapped together in like a shawl of like temperature, vibe, lights, music. And I was very impressed for an opening of how stylish that felt. So I'll go with the new one. Hauzu, Peckham. Peckham is right by the station as well. So if you don't know Peckham that well, you come out and it's right there.
Yeah.
And they're independent.
Love
and I
that.
wish them massive success. And you know, I just think that type of
You get it right. They've got it right.
oh, it's just that you can't name it.
Yeah.
It's just
you
got
feel it.
Yeah. Excellent. Yes.
Best burger.
I'm a Five Guys girl.
Okay.
You know,
All the way?
Yeah, I like as many toppings as I can
So
get.
all the way.
Yeah.
It's a quick tip for you if you wanted to. If you go with the cheese, the patty melt,
Yeah.
and ask for the bun all the way, it's actually cheaper than going for a burger, but you get the same amount of meat.
Oh,
Yeah.
hello.
So have a look at that one.
Yeah.
It's a secret menu.
Yeah.
And the endless chips, right?
Yes, I think it's that. I think because I like that I can choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got no one with a peanut allergy in there, so you're right. Which I think is hilarious still, that no one, people with EpiPens just walk past it.
Yeah.
So.
I wouldn't be, but a burger wouldn't be my go-to anyway, though.
Yeah. Best hotel.
Oh, actually, we already mentioned it. The Venetia in Beirut is a phenomenally luxurious, classic hotel. I think because it has so much history attached to it. It has a, whenever there is troubles in Lebanon, Venetia still stands and still opens.
Yeah.
And once you go into that lobby, the lobby area is called Cascade, and it's just stunningly beautiful. And I think even being in Lebanon, which with people that became like very close friends in a utter luxury, it's a very it's in my heart.
Yeah, I can see with the smile on your face.
Yeah.
So,
It was a
that's
wonderful
nice.
time.
Okay, so 2 questions. Right, before I do that, I'm going to give you a round of applause. So
If you stayed this
they
long,
get a round of applause, and they get some air horns as well.
Yeah.
Oops. There we go.
Yeah.
I pressed it too long. So we're at the end, and we have 2 questions for the next guest. Could be marketer, could be Bao, could be anyone.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. One question would be: who was the person who most inspired you? You know, like your first leader that made you. You know, you look back at and go, they were the one. And the 2 questions. Yes. If you hadn't have done this job, what would you have done?
what would you have done? Actually, on that note,
I would have been a stripper.
bloody good one. That's hilarious, amazing. So I'm going to give you another round of applause. Thank you. I'm going to give you another round of applause. There you go. You can hear it from there. Thank you. Give everyone a wave goodbye.
Thank you
so much. Thank you. You got to the end, and I'll be honest with you. This isn't the longest one, so you're doing all right. It's not the longest one.
I don't know who's going to listen, but you know the other thing though. Final one before I run. You can't even put me on like fast forward because I talk so quickly anyway. If you put me on 1.5, like it sounds like I'm speaking another language.
So we had Carey from Guestwise, and he speaks faster than me. I mean, I speak faster than you generally, and he speaks faster than me. And my kids were listening to a video, and they went, "Dad, is that times 2?" And and I was speaking because he was speaking fast, I was speaking fast.
Yeah.
So you don't speak that fast.
Okay,
to be
I've
honest
been
with you.
told to slow down.
No, you've been. I think maybe when you're talking to people, you're talking. For me, you're talking super. I mean, listen, our brains work probably quicker than most.
Yeah.
But you're talking super clear. This whole thing's been absolutely nice and clear, precise, concise. Maybe it's working. I don't think you've ever. For me, when I've known you for a long time, I don't think you speak that fast. But maybe our brains can take it.
Yes, I've always been concise as well when I need to say something.
Yes, I can 100% agree. I wish I had some recordings. So, but listen, thank you so much. Give everyone a wave goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.